I didn't think it was going to happen, but I've got a friend that pulled me out of retirement, if you will. I'm trying to get my stuff together, my newfangled stuff. Now, after seeing this, I'll probably have a lot of friends picking up the phone saying, hey, you know, I got some work that wants to be done. That's sort of the way it is, isn't it? In construction, one of the hardest things in the world to do is to say, no, I'm done. You spend all of your life not turning down work because you never know when your next job's going to come from. And then, you know, you get later up where you really need to say no. And I said yes. Anyway, in doing this job, and it took us, I don't know, from start to finish, I think it was only about, well, it was on at about 65 hours. It was rather respectable. Hours, and that may have been over 3 weeks, I'm not sure. But anyway, from start to finish is about like that. And in doing this, I don't know, it just hit me how different work is now as opposed to when I started. And I guess what I'm comparing is, how is it doing construction work in your 60s versus doing construction work in your 20s? And then some of you are still doing it, and if you stop to reflect on it, you know there's a lot of differences. And I'm not really talking about the differences of the materials that are out there, the differences of tools that you're using, but I'm talking about the differences that I felt inside of me, and probably the differences that you feel inside of you if you're still doing construction in your 60s. And I find some of them, I don't mean for like to be humorous, but to me they really are. I think it was 2 days ago, I was inside and working on something, and let me say this, what we're working on is general construction. We were doing electrical work, acoustical tile, flooring, framing, drywall, finish work, cabinet work, installing store-bought cabinets, countertop, sinks, plumbing. Oh, let's see what else. Painting, drywall repair, just pretty much anything you'd find in a residential construction project. And when you're doing all of that, I've pretty much got out of the truck every tool that I've owned and had to scrounge through the shop and find tools that I hadn't used in quite some time. I mean, where do you keep that 10-inch putty knife, or, you know, stuff like that. So anyway, I'm working in the shop and I realize I need something out there in the toolbox in the truck. So I go out to the truck, open the lid of the truck, start to get what and then it dawns on me, what am I here for? And I thought, you know, that's it can happen to you when you're young, but we know it happens a little more frequently when we get older. So that was one of the things that's different now than, you know, when you're starting out, is just what do you remember? The second thing that I found is really, really, really different. And this is not just something I discovered at this job, okay? I've done it for a long time. But this is something that really, I didn't realize how handicapped a person becomes because of this as they get older, and that is flexibility. If you've ever plumbed a sink, you know that you got to get down there and get with it. And so I'm in here trying to, it was late in the afternoon in my defense, but I'm in here trying to, you know, fit these pipes together. And I called my son over and I said, do you mind finishing this up? I said, you can do it? And he said, yeah, I got it. And I mean, I didn't remember, hadn't realized that, I had shown him how to do one. But anyway, he just fell right in there, and he's flexible enough to get in there. But boy, howdy. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was young, well, I don't even want to go into that. But if you're still doing it in your 60s, now I know some of you are going to say, hey, I'm as flexible as I was when I was 20. Good for you. But one of the big differences I found is I'm just not as flexible, meaning that getting into tight places, like we had to crawl under these cabinets to put down baseboard, and just getting in there in those tight places, the body just does it. The brain says, don't go for it, and the body says, whoa, champ. That for me was a big difference. A third thing that I found different, doing construction work now here in my 60s versus when I started out, is desire. When I started out, and probably when you started out too, man alive, I could hardly sleep at night, so excited about going to work the next day. Now, I'm a whole lot more excited about going to bed than I am about getting up. And my desire to see the project finished is just as strong as it ever has. But my desire to do the work necessary to finish the project, I found out that was waning just a little bit. But something I found that's difficult on us older construction workers, and if you're a younger guy and you're listening to this, I hope you'll take it correctly. And if we're an older guy listening to this, I hope you'll take it correctly. But that is dealing with youngsters. I don't know about you, but the old saying that we have in the South, you get sot in your ways. Well, this old carpenter is sot in his ways, and when a youngster wants to, how can I put it? I don't want to throw off on the youngsters, because I was a youngster one time. I don't know, when we get older, we just don't have time to be chit-chatting or tiptoeing around the tulips or whatever. We just say, do this, and then, or we say, I need help with this, can you come over and help me? And 5 minutes later, they come over to help you. And you say, man, and by the time they already come over to help you, you found a way to do it yourself. That is quite different. Let me just put it that way. It's quite different dealing with youngsters when you're an older construction worker as maybe when you're midlife or younger. I don't know, but there is a big difference. I mentioned that to my son, and he said, well, don't forget, dealing with older people ain't a whole lot of fun either. So I said, I've got to mention that because it's the truth. Guys, we get ornery and cranky, and we don't maybe talk as gentle. I mean, when we're not worried about being gentle, you know what I'm saying? But maybe we could temper our tone. I don't know. Anyway, I'll move on from that one. But the difference of doing it now as versus the 20, as far as dealing with youngsters, and not just dealing with youngsters, but dealing with anybody that you're working with on the crew. A fifth thing that I found that is really characteristic, I would say, of an older builder is that you care correctly. Now, what I mean by that is, as a youngster doing stuff in construction, and you cared, hopefully, but you didn't have the same, I know I didn't have the same ability to perceive exactly what really is important and what really should I be caring about. And I guess maturity in construction teaches you that in caring correctly, we learn how to care about what the homeowner or the business owner or whoever's writing the check, who we're working for, we learn how to care about what they are caring for. We become less adamant about what we want or how we want to do it or how we want to look, and become more conscientious and caring of how they want it. Another thing I found that in this, and this is a huge one, this is a big one. We finished the job, right? And we got to load up all the tools, clean up, sweep up, make everything pristine, ready to go. And in doing a project like the one we've been doing, and I think I may have already shown the video. If I didn't, it'll be coming out sometime after this. But in doing a project like this where you have so many leftover parts, if you will. You know, you got some things left over from the acoustical ceiling, got some things left over from plumbing, from flooring, from drywall, from cabinet work, on and on and on and on. And you got these little things left over. At 18, 20 years old, you know what we did with all that leftover stuff, don't you? Boss said, yeah, take it. And we'd load our truck up. On the way home, we thought we had hit the jackpot, because we have all the, and a lot of times we had, because we got all these leftover parts that now we know we're going to be able to use. I'll tell you what, in construction in your 60s, when it comes cleanup time, I don't have to tell you, you already know what I'm going to say. It's a whole lot easier to throw that stuff away, because I know, yeah, it has value, it can be reused. First place is I don't have any place to put it. Second place is I don't plan to ever use it. So why am I going to keep it? And there's nobody around me that wants it. And quite frankly, I don't have the energy or desire to try to find somebody who can use it. You just don't keep as much stuff when the job's over. You more realize now on the back nine of life that what you do, it's when we was in our 20s and we was doing it, it was all about the work. And now when we're doing it, we realize, you know, we really are leaving a legacy. What we're doing here is probably going to last for a very long time, and the customer is going to be using it for a long time. And hopefully, long after we're gone, it's still there. And the user of that end product can say, you know, oh, so-and-so, they built that for me. And I guess we start, I don't mean saying getting sentimental about it or nothing like that, but we do realize that our work, we're leaving a legacy. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention is I think that is different in construction in your, you know, when you're a little longer in the tooth as when you was a younger fella, is that, for me anyway, I put more emphasis now on relationships than I did when I was younger. I was driven hard to get the job done. And maybe you were like that as well. Now as I'm older, I realize that, you know, I mean, I've always known, but maybe I didn't pay as much attention to it as a youngster, and maybe you was like that too, that stuff is stuff. It's just stuff. But relationships, they really do matter. One thing that has not changed, and of course that'll be a whole nother episode of the things that have not changed, but one thing's not changed is the banner. Still give it, and you still have to take it. And maybe that's part of the reason why we love construction. See you in the next one.